Hello everyone, welcome to my Ghostbusters Remastered, professional difficulty, no upgrade walkthrough, and this is Times Square, and this is the hardest level in the game, not only because of the fact that we're going to be introduced to a bunch of enemy types that can instantly kill you very easily, but also because we don't have access to a lot of tools at our disposal. We will gain access to a new tool later on, which is the Boson Dart, but even still though, it's still not enough, and on a no upgrade walkthrough, the Boson Darts are not very reliable, because the upgrades that correspond to the Boson Darts, which are specifically Boson Dart Supercharged and Boson Dart Immunity, they are incredibly powerful, and they're definitely necessary for the Boson Darts to really feel useful. I mean, Boson Dart Supercharge allows you to fire the Boson Darts faster without any kind of overheating, and then Boson Dart Immunity allows you to be invulnerable to your Boson Dart Blast if you fire it too close, because they can do damage to you, and it does a lot of damage if it connects with you. But on this walkthrough, I had actually discovered, and this is something I should have already known because I had done this trick before on the PS3 version, there's a way to bypass the excess cooldown of the Boson Dart. And that is by using the Boson Darts in combination with your Proton Stream. I don't demonstrate it on these initial parts of Times Square, but I'll demonstrate it when I get to the building. But right now we're being introduced to two enemy types. We have Marshmallow Minis, and then we have these Hobo guys. The Marshmallow Minis are very dangerous in their higher numbers. There's one encounter in Times Square that involves you having to deal with a whole mess of them inside of a building, and it's one of the hardest fights in the game because the room you're in is so small, and then the Marshmallow Minis will just destroy you with their attacks, and their attacks can literally drain you very quickly. And then you have these Hobo Ghosts, and the Hobo Ghosts are one of the most dangerous ghosts in this game because they have two attacks. One attack that doesn't do a lot of damage, but it has some really trashy hitboxes. And then another attack, which is a Molotov cocktail, that will instantly kill you if it connects with you. And they down your teammates all the time, and you need to have your team alive, because if you don't have your team alive, the chances of you surviving these perilous situations will be severely dwindled without your teammates being alive. And I didn't really go into much detail about how the AI works on this game, but the friendly AI in this game is not really good. I mean, they're pretty keen on trying to revive you, but my biggest problem with them is that they're so slow to revive you a lot of the times. Like, they have to make all these slight micro adjustments before they actually try to revive you, and they never ever try to revive the other AI partners. They only ever try to revive you, and after a few minutes, they'll eventually decide, oh, I'm gonna go revive this one AI partner who's been down for such a long time. But by then, they'll probably already be down themselves because they're so lazy in design. Like, they get hit by the enemy AI so easily on this game. Like, they will just stand there, not make any kind of evasive movements. They'll use the wrong weapons on the AI, and they will just get downed a lot. But this first initial fight is not the tricky part. It's this fight coming up, because the game does something very clever here. It places a car to block your way back to the Hotel Sedgwick, so you can't run all the way back there. You're forced into a very confined space. And you're going to be encountering another new enemy type, which is the Gargoyle, and these are popcorn enemies, but if you leave them alive, they are a nuisance. Their rock throw ability does so much damage to you. And guess what, guys? You're going to be introduced to another new enemy type. Like, look at this. 4 enemy types in a row in this one section, and we barely progressed with Times Square. And this is the construction worker guy. This guy isn't as bad as the Hobo Ghost, but his ability to possess objects is really annoying. And it's one of the most frustrating moves that some of the ghosts on this game have. They love to spam that move. And even if you successfully break them out of it, they'll just run off and just find another object to hide in. And they will just do so much damage to you if they connect with you. And if you're trying to do a $100,000 or less run, where you're trying to get that trophy for dealing less than $100,000 worth of environmental damage, that move is going to be the bane of your existence, because you can't shoot the possessed object, because otherwise it'll count against you in your financial records, as I've already said in my first part of this walkthrough. But after a certain amount of time, after you've eliminated a certain number of ghosts, these Hobo Ghosts will spawn. And you're only limited to your Proton Stream, and you've got to get rid of these guys fast. Like, speed is the key here. And, like, there's not a clever spot you can put yourself in to avoid these guys. The ghosts on this game are so good at stopping you from camping in a particular spot. But oftentimes it's just done in the worst possible way. Like sometimes their attacks can go through certain pieces of geometry, and then of course they have a lot of phantom range on their range attacks, so they can just hit you without even having to touch you, which is bullcrap. But just be very careful of the Hobo Ghost. The Hobo Ghost is the most dangerous one. Unless you're getting the Construction Worker Ghost just spamming that stupid possession move like he's doing to me right now. So, maybe in actuality, both of these enemy types are equally as dangerous. I just consider the Hobo Ghost to be even more dangerous because he doesn't try to rush you as much, but he's so good at perfectly throwing his Molotov cocktails at you, and also throwing his bottles at you at a distance. And he can be an absolute nuisance. That's just how it is in so many games, you know. The guys who are always at range, when you're not focusing on them, are always going to be the most dangerous in any game ever. Because you're not focusing your attention on them. And it's no different in this game. But I've eliminated the Construction Worker Ghost. And now we're just down to the Hobo Ghosts. And I'm fighting the Physics Engine right now, because the Physics Engine is just kind of exaggerating on the values right now, because it's causing me to launch ghosts all the way up into the sky. And at times that can cause big problems on the PS3 version, because sometimes the ghosts will get stuck beyond an invisible barrier that's up in the sky, and you'll never be able to pull them down. But I haven't encountered that issue yet on the PS4 version, thankfully. And after some exposition, we gain access to the Boson Dart. And once again, I'm not demonstrating the proper way to use the Boson Darts on a no upgrade run. And we're also going to be introduced to the Opera Ghost. This is the only time you're going to be encountering the Opera Ghost in this single player. And these Opera Ghosts have a lot of life. And they have two attacks. They have a charge attack, which they rarely use, and then they have a range attack, which is just them singing towards you. And it will down you very fast. So keep your distance from these enemies, and that move has a lot of phantom range as well on the sides, not really in front of it.
Look out, above you.
And this is also a new mechanic that you're seeing right there. You see that portal on the side of the building? Well, the game's going to introduce you to what black slime can actually do. And black slime is a hazardous form of ectoplasmic residue that's toxic to both body and soul. So basically, if you stand on it, you'll take minimal damage over time, so never stand inside of it. But on this game, and this is not on the PS2 version, the black slime has the ability to create portals during scripted moments of the game. And the game oftentimes forces you to try to close up the portals. Otherwise, if you leave those portals active, they'll spawn infinite enemies. That's not the case in this section. There is a limit to the amount of enemies that can spawn, but once you gain access to the slime blower, you'll be encountering a lot of situations where these black slime portals will just infinitely spawn enemies, and unless you close the portals, you're going to have a very rough time. And once again, we are being paired with these Hobo Ghosts. We have Gargoyles, we have Opera Ghosts, like 3 enemy types at once. That is a very dangerous trio right there. And I get launched, which is absolutely hilarious to see sometimes. Look at that bullcrap right there. That Hobo Ghost hit Winston, and it somehow hit me. That's so stupid. But you definitely want to use your Boson Darts against the Hobo Ghosts once you unlock the Boson Darts. They do a lot of damage to the Hobo Ghosts. They don't do a lot of damage to the Opera Ghosts. And then, of course, with the Gargoyles, you want to slam them to the sides of buildings if you're trying to avoid doing at least $100,000 worth of damage. And I can finally use my capture stream setting, and that Opera Ghost just snuck up behind me. But thankfully I didn't die. Times Square is the area that you're going to be causing a lot of property damage. And oftentimes you just get like $30,000 worth of damage randomly for no reason. I don't really understand why that's the case in this level. But look at the AI, they just keep getting downed. Like these enemies have all sorts of instant kill attacks. And it becomes so tedious just reviving your AI partner over and over again. But at least they do try to trap ghosts in their capture streams, but they're very bad at trying to actually get the ghost into the Muon trap. But we're nearing the end. Once I can get these Hobo Ghosts out of the way, this will be a lot easier now. There's that Molotov cocktail again. Peter's down. Too bad he can't say his classic catchphrase of, "He slimed me." Because he's not getting slimed, he's getting burned to death by a stupid Molotov cocktail. But this is a rated T game. This is not a rated M game. I wonder what this game would be like if it was an actual survival horror game with very dark content, while still maintaining that Ghostbusters essence that we all know and love. There's a lot of moments on this game where they try to take a more survival horror approach, but it's not the best, but at least it's something. Oh, and right there's the charge attack move. I was not expecting that because I never see them do that charge attack move. And thankfully, she's the only enemy left, and we'll be able to be done with this encounter, and we can finally take on Stay Puft. And look, they're trying to rush me right now, but that didn't do her any good. And look at that, the AI actually trapped a ghost for me. And now we're encountering Stay Puft. So do not get close to him, otherwise he will instantly kill you. And also he has the ability to throw marshmallow minis at you. You can use the capture stream to wrangle the marshmallow minis and throw them somewhere else. I don't quite understand how the marshmallow mini spawn works. Sometimes when he throws the marshmallow mini spawn, it doesn't spawn enemies, and oftentimes that occurs when he directly hits a character. But I get times when I use my capture stream on the marshmallow mini spawn, and the marshmallow minis don't spawn. But then I do the same thing, and they still spawn. It's kind of inconsistent. But once you fire a certain amount of boson darts at Stay Puft, he'll free up the path for you. And you have to specifically use boson darts because Ray keeps spamming his quote of just soften it up with your boson darts. Hit him with boson darts. It gets really annoying after a while, so eventually you just gotta cave into his demands and just keep firing boson darts. But I should be using the proton stream plus the boson dart combo in order to actually fire the boson darts faster. Because how the trick works... Oh, right there, that was an accident. I got too close to Stay Puft and he instantly killed me. But as I was explaining, so the way the trick works is the boson dart will travel along the path of the proton stream, and while it's traveling on the proton stream, you can vent your proton pack and cool it down, but still have that boson dart active, and that allows you to fire the boson darts very fast. And once again, I don't use it in this part. I use it when I get inside the building, when I actually remember how it works. Yeah, this is not a hard sequence at all. There's nothing really challenging about this. I mean, it's cool to at least walk the streets of Times Square. You know, I've always liked the city environments in games. I mean, it is still just a standard city that's just kind of destroyed, and it's not quite as impressive as Evil Within City, when you're just seeing total destruction at a level that just doesn't make any sense. But it really made the Crimson City and the Evil Within feel interesting. But still, though, Times Square is definitely my favorite level, just for environmental aesthetic. And once you get inside here, safe level's not going to be an issue. You just got to deal with the rest of his marshmallow minis. And then this is the hardest part right here, once you actually trigger the cutscene and get up here. This is the section that has a lot of marshmallow minis, and look how cramped this entire space is. You can definitely tell why this is one of the hardest parts of the game. And the way to trigger it is you gotta look up into that vent there. And I only failed this section once, thankfully, and this was my second attempt at it. And I got an idea to basically use the self-inflicted damage from the boson darts to shield myself from the attacks that the marshmallow minis do. Because I believe, once you get knocked down by the boson darts, the enemies aren't so keen on trying to attack you on the ground, so they kind of just pause. Or you get some kind of invulnerability, I don't know. I do get moments where, even when I'm knocked down, I still take damage from other enemies, but for this encounter, I didn't notice it as much. But you got to keep reviving Ray. Ray goes down so much in this fight. And I down myself, but that's exactly what I want. I'm intentionally trying to down myself to not take so many hits from the marshmallow minis. Because thankfully, getting hit by your own boson darts doesn't kill you instantly. But it does clear out a lot of the marshmallow minis from this area. This obviously will not work if you have boson dart immunity. And you definitely don't want to do it if you're trying to do a no damage run, which I think is impossible in this game because this game is very unpolished. And there's a lot of attacks on this game where it seems like you're not going to take any damage, but you just get screwed by a very bad hitbox. And then the enemies are just grouped together in such a way that it's very hard to... And see that? That right there? is one of the main reasons why no damage run is not possible. I took damage randomly from that Marshmallow Mini while I was being stumbled down. And of course Ray is down, and he's like, time to be a hero, and then he just falls down to the ground, which is always quite funny when I see it happen. But now that we clear out the rest of the Marshmallow Minis, we're going to be dealing with Stay Puft again. But it's a very easy section. All you gotta do is just shoot Stay Puft's arm after a certain amount of time with the boson dart, and it'll just go away. And he'll try to spawn Marshmallow Minis while he's at it.
They're disgusting, and they're unhealthy.
There are the same exact sections in the PS2 version, only on the PS2 version, the game is very strict on having to use so many boson darts, which doesn't make any sense. Like, in this scenario, on the PS2 version, you have to hit his arm at least, I don't know, like 15 times before he actually runs away. This one, it's just once. And then once he runs away, we just have a bunch of Marshmallow Minis to contend with. Then we can get to the roof. We have several more ghosts to contend with, some more gargoyles, and then we just have to fight Stay Puft, and that's it. So that is the end of that. Now we're on the roof. This is a lot easier than a lot of the other encounters with the ghosts, because all we have is just a bunch of construction workers, and the construction workers are not so bad, so long as they're not spamming their stupid possession move. Because their range attack that one is doing right now, it's easily avoided by just strafing. Like, not even the lack of blast stream recoil decrease, not even that is a problem when it comes to dodging that attack. And if you're wondering what it does, it allows you to move faster while firing the proton stream. And it can be handy in certain situations, but I think it's not going to be too much of an issue in this walkthrough that I don't have that particular ability. Because for the most part, I'm going to be playing this rather cautiously for a lot of situations. And once I get the stasis stream and then the slime blower, you know, capturing ghosts is going to be a lot easier. And in fact, I'll be using mainly the Shock Blast, the Slime Blower, and the Meson Collider, rather than the Proton Stream for the rest of the walkthrough once I actually get them, because those weapons are so powerful. And it definitely showcases just how much the Ghostbusters have really learned from their experiences, and have really developed the technology necessary for them to battle a lot of these higher entities. It's, you know, it's definitely one of the most creative parts of developing a Ghostbusters game. You know, there's all sorts of particle physics that they can definitely use for a lot of weaponry in the Ghostbusters universe. And that really shows on this game, because the weapon systems that you utilize in this game are very fun to use, and they're very intriguing scientifically. I just like reading the upgrade system and understanding how the Ghostbusters put in this particular upgrade for the particular weapon system that they're currently using. And then you get a bit of scientific knowledge as to what this particular weapon system is utilizing. You know, you learn about dark matter, you learn about composite particles, you learn about meson particles, boson particles, protons. You know, it's really fun to read if you're as intrigued by it as I am. I mean, Dan Aykroyd, the guy who portrays Ray Stantz in the Ghostbusters franchise, he expressed a lot of interest in these particles when he was talking about them in his behind-the-scenes video of Ghostbusters, the video game. And that's definitely paved the way for these weapon systems to be in the game, and it definitely added a lot more complexity to ghostbusting, and it made it a very interesting system. Oh, by the way, right there, did you see it just then? I did the trick just then. I managed to fire the proton stream and the boson darts at the same time. I fired the boson darts while I was using the proton stream, and then I vented my proton pack, and then the boson dart was still in the air. So it allowed me to fire boson darts very fast. And you're going to see me utilize it a lot against Stay Puft. And also right here, if you go into the Paragoggles mode, you can avoid getting flinched by Stay Puft. And once you knock him off, this is the boss fight right now. And I actually died on this boss fight, because of course I always do this boss fight with all the upgrades for the boson dart, but this is me like trying to get into the groove with how to utilize the proton stream plus boson dart trick, and I used it at the wrong time in this boss fight, and Stay Puft killed me with his loogie attack. And if you get hit by 3 loogies in a row, it will instantly kill you. And that was just so embarrassing, because I've never died to Stay Puft, but then that one moment that happened when I died to Stay Puft was absolutely embarrassing. And it's this move right here. That's the Luigi attack that will kill you very quickly if you do not shoot his mouth. And he will also spawn minis. He only ever has like 2 attacks, unfortunately. It's a very easy fight. I kind of wish there was a little bit more to it. But it could have been worse. But once he shows you that he's getting tired and fatigued, shoot him once with a boson dart, and you will knock him off. And you basically have to repeat this process 2 more times, and then the fight will be over. And it's a very simple fight. And before I conclude the commentary, because there's not much to really say about this fight, do you notice the 2 crowds of people down the streets? Watch this. Do you see how they move to the sides every time you knock off Stay Puft? That's a nice little small detail. So kudos to you, Terminal Reality, for putting that in. That's like something Capcom would do with Resident Evil. But that is the end of Times Square. All you gotta do is just weaken him a little bit more, shoot him with a boson dart, and the fight will be over. Stay tuned for the future levels. Thank you all for watching, and you take care now.
Got him on the ropes, Lobster. Land the last one so we